Hello and welcome to ET Auto. We are in conversation with Martin Jahn, board member of Škoda Auto, who is here to unveil the Škoda Kylaq, a compact SUV, but a lot is at stake, not only for Škoda Auto, but for the Volkswagen Group in India. So to tell us more about the strategy and how he sees the road ahead for Škoda, not only in India, but globally as well. So, Martin, thank you for sparing your time. And
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And tell us, the Kylaq, small SUV, big bet for Škoda Auto and by the Volkswagen Group. What are the 2 or 3 key things that you expect it to deliver and by when?
So with Kylaq, we are entering the most important segment in India, the most competitive, but also the biggest one, and we are committed to growth in India. Therefore, this car is very important for us. We are bringing a beautiful new design. We are bringing European technology, but this is all tailored in a package for Indian customer, and we want to offer this car for a very competitive price.
Yes, and you mentioned about 100,000 unit sales being the target for Škoda brand in India by 2026. Could it be that, given the way this segment and the potential of the segment, you could achieve it even earlier, by maybe 25?
Maybe we will see. I am very confident about this car, and we will see how the reaction of Indian customers will be. And of course, if we can achieve the 100,000 sales already next year, we will be very happy.
And tell us, just give us a glimpse of how Škoda is looking at the mid to long term when it comes to the strategy of enhancing its presence outside of Europe. One is that Europe and non-European presence, and within that, India's the presence in India. How do you see it in the midterm, let's say 5 to 7 years down the line?
So our main market is Europe, and we are very successful now. We are on the 4th position in Europe, which is very good. And we want to grow outside of Europe. Outside of Europe, India is our most important market. We have significant production capabilities in India. We have launched the 3rd model, and we want to use India also for export to other countries. For example, next year we will start production in Vietnam, where we will be producing 2 models from India on a CKD basis, Kylaq and Slavia, and we want to bring these cars also to countries like Kazakhstan. We want to bring them to Middle East, where we also want to grow, and potentially we are looking at ASEAN countries. So growth outside of Europe is very important, and India is the main base for this growth.
If you look at the whole, I mean, let's say last year you sold about 8.6 lakh units globally. Cars. Of that, what percentage was in Europe, and how much of it was outside of it? And this ratio, how would you like it to change, let's say by the end of this decade?
Yeah, so we have seen lots of changes over the last couple of years. For example, we used to be very strong in Russia, but we completely lost the Russian market. We are also reducing our sales in China, but we are growing in countries for example, such as Turkey or Israel or in some North African countries. I think potentially the proportion should be like 60–70% of cars in Europe, and the rest outside of Europe. At the moment, we are much more dependent on Europe. Right now, we are about 80% of sales in Europe.
So you would like the Europe share to go down to about 60–70%, and in favor of a larger expansion outside of Europe?
Like we would like to non-European part to grow.
Which is what I'm saying. So when the non-European grows, share grows, this goes down.
Yeah.
And the expected ratio, by when do you want to achieve that?
It's you know, the world is very volatile. It's too early to say. We also have growth plans in Europe. It very much depends on manufacturers. So we do not have a set target on that. We want to grow as fast as possible. We also need to ensure profitable growth. So profitability is also quite important. So we just go with the flow and try to deliver the best result.
Like in India, which are the other markets where, I believe Russia was another market where Škoda was the lead brand for the Volkswagen Group. Likewise, which are the other markets where Škoda is leading and perhaps will lead in some new markets as well?
we should be a leading brand also in ASEAN. So India is the main one, and ASEAN is the potential group of countries where we could be the lead brand.
Okay. And with the almost imminent partnership, which is, discussions are on with the Indian OEM of Mahindra Group, when that comes into play, when that happens, and collaboration is becoming the name of the game in the global industry, what are the benefits that you would like to dip into? I can understand those things are also kind of, you discover certain things as you go along, but for starters, what would it be that you'd look at?
So there has been many speculations about potential partnership, but these are only speculations and I cannot comment on them.
Okay. And the electric mobility megatrend globally, depending on which region you are in, it's a slightly different story, but it's a given thing that eventual future is electric, and therefore governments are also laying out their policies and roadmaps. The Indian government has announced its policy, a revamped policy recently. So is Škoda Auto Volkswagen plan to kind of apply for incentives under the program?
Yeah, so it's clear to us that we have to bring electric car to India on a competitive basis. We are also considering the BEV technology, so I can say that we have to bring BEV and BEV technology and hybrid technology as soon as possible.
Okay. And scenario, I mean, in certain geographies, look at, Europe, for example, electric mobility got off to a good start, but of late, there has been kind of relook at things, and perhaps consumers have not embraced the technology as was expected by the industry. Are there any concerns like this at the global level for,
Well, the consumers have not embraced the technology as was expected by the politicians. I would say there was a very strong political push to sell electric vehicles. In China, they had a very strong policy, which led to very strong growth of electric and range extender vehicles, approaching now maybe 50–60%. In the US, the electric mobility is still below 10%. In Europe, we achieved 16% last year, going down to 14% this year. And we see that the adoption of the electric cars is very much dependent on the government policy, on the charging infrastructure, on the subsidies of the sales of the cars, of the tax incentives for their usage, on the price of electricity. And it's not a trend that would be completely driven by the customers without government support. So I think we are now at a crossroad, and we will see how the European policy will develop after the election in the US today. We will see what will be the approach. And also in India, we will see, because we see that the transformation is not easy. And to bring the infrastructure to the whole continent, to the whole region, to the whole country, it costs a lot of money. So we will see how will be the adoption space in India. And of course, we will adjust our pace of bringing electric cars to India according to that.
And clearly, you'll have to develop a new one, because given the current ones, while they are good in their own position, perhaps they may not be the best fit for the Indian market, right?
Now, what we have now, the two cars, ENIAC, that has been already very successful, and Elrock was just launched, perceived very well. They are, I would say, top quality, top cost European cars. We cannot bring them successfully to the mass market in India, so we would have to develop a new car that's more tailored to the Indian needs and also to the Indian costs.
Lastly, last year you clocked about what, 18% odd growth over the previous year, but over 800,000 units. This year, how is it looking for you, and for India, what's the outlook for you?
Globally, we will grow significantly again compared to last year. In India, we had a challenging first half of the year. We introduced recently two new special models, Sportline and Monte Carlo of Slavia and Kushaq. So we now see increasing trends, but I don't think that we will see a growth compared to last year in this year. But for 2025, with Kylaq, let's see whether we will be scratching the 100,000 mark. So definitely, in any case, very strong growth for India, for Škoda next year.
On that note, wishing you and your team all the best.
Thank you very much.
There you heard Martin Jahn, a board member responsible for sales and marketing at Škoda Auto, sharing their strategy for Škoda Auto in India and globally, and how Škoda Auto is going to play an increasingly key role as a lead brand for Volkswagen Group in major markets, including in India in the years ahead, even more than what they are doing currently. On that note, thank you for watching this interview. Take care. Goodbye.